Figuring out clothing brands that actually sell well on eBay has taken me years of research. And in this video, we're going to be going over my top jeans brands that might be surprising to you. No, these aren't rare vintage items that you'll never find. These are items that you probably come across every day. You just weren't aware of the current sell-through rate. So we're going to be going over these. Let's get right into it. Whenever I make these videos, I try to pick out brands that are available, that you can find. I don't try to make these videos where they're just amazing items, but you literally have no chance of finding them. So these are very common brands that are very in demand. And I'm picking out a few of these just to kind of go over with you. I know you've come across these all the time, but these are staple sellers for me over the last few years when I resell on eBay. Are they going to make you $1 million? No. But if you are a full-time reseller, you know that most of your sales come from very common brands, right? Very common items that are found every day. That's what drives your business. Yes, one-off rare items are amazing, but they're just so hard to replenish and find over and over again. So let's get right to it. You can see that we're working with Wrangler. Really, Bo? Wrangler? I thought that brand sucked. No. Wrangler 13MWZ, which is the cowboy cut, is actually pretty good. Pretty good. And if you go to the Goodwill bins, you find hundreds of these in a week. People just pass them up. So there's 15,000 listed pre-owned on eBay. When you click on sold, there's 6,000 sold in the last 90 days. And where you want to look if you have a Wrangler 13MWZ jean is on the inner zipper. You will see here there is 13MWZ. So that is what you want to look for. There's other models that sell well, but we're focusing on the cowboy cut. These are vintage, so even better. But 13MWZ is like the jean when it comes to Wrangler. They don't sell for a ton of money. I'm just going to say that right off the bat, but they do sell consistently between $20 and $30. Also just depends on what size that you have, the condition, if they're vintage. But I would definitely be picking these up anywhere between $1 and $5 and listing them for at least 20 to 30 bucks. So I know that it's not an amazing brand that's going to blow you away, but there is some good demand in this. And if we're looking to become at least part-time or full-time reseller, you want items that you can find over and over and over again. This is one of them. Wrangler. I would not pick up modern Wranglers. I would not pick up Wranglers that are just, more of the modern day. I would look for 13MWZ or 47MWZ or fire-resistant Wranglers. So those are the ones that I would particularly look for. I think typically most people, when they hear this brand, they just pass it up. I would not spend more than $5 personally, but definitely some value here if you do come across it. Something I've been working on behind the scenes is an AI listing tool. I've spent the last 70 days working on this tool, perfecting it, so I don't have to do listings anymore. Maybe you're a reseller like me that doesn't have a ton of time to keep up with learning all the keywords, filling out all the item specifics, figuring out how a title is supposed to look, figuring out how to price your item. Well, I built this tool, Easy Flip, to solve all those problems. With just a few clicks, you can have instant listings delivered to your eBay store within seconds, rather than spending all this time figuring it out, doing all the manual work. I'm saving about 5 to 10 hours per week listing 10 items a day. All I have to do is just upload photos, download them into Easy Flip, and click a few buttons, and listings are done. If you want to learn more, click the link down below and check it out. The next brand is called Subi. Amazing brand, not a ton out there, but let's just show you what we're working with here. There's 1,300 listed on eBay, and when you click sold, these do sell for pretty good money. There's 507 sold in the last 90 days. So if you go from highest to lowest, they actually sell for some pretty decent money. So 120 bucks. $110. Let's look at the brand tag. Okay, so here we go. Here's a pair. I've only found a few of these. The tag is on the inner pocket, so you'll have to look there. Subi. So amazing brand. I believe these are made in USA. Let's see. Nope, made in China. Okay, so they're not made in USA, but they do sell for pretty good money. 1,300 listed, 500 sold in the last 90 days, and they do sell for pretty decent. Let's see what kind of the average is here. Just ended recently. So 64, 79, 60, 60, 56, 60, 80. They're definitely more of like a distressed style jean. Pretty cool. I've probably only found 3 or 4 of these in my entire 4-year journey on eBay, but I just found out about these, 2 years ago. So I don't find a ton of them, but if you do come across these are going to be a pretty much a home run. I would think anything that sells for over $50 in the clothing niche is a home run. So be on the lookout for these. Comment if you've ever found that brand before. I want to get into some women's jeans because I feel like a lot of people in the clothing resale space kind of just shrug off women's clothing in general. I would say most women's clothing is not going to be a pickup, but we do need to figure out what women's clothes do sell well because I'm going to the thrift store anyways. I want to know what in women's clothing should I be looking out for just in case if I make my way over to the women's section. This brand has always sold well for me, but it needs to be in like a bigger size. So I'm talking size like 10, 12, 14, like in a smaller size, like a 4, a 2, a 6 is just sold slower. This brand is actually really good for Poshmark as well. But it's the Democracy Ab Technology jeans with the stretchy waistband. So this is just taking all of those sizes into account, and I'll show you why the bigger sizes are more important. But you can see overall on eBay, pre-owned, 9,100 listed, 2,900 sold in the last 90 days. So not amazing, but also not terrible either. They do typically sell between $20 and $30. I will show you what they look like if you do ever come across these. I know when I used to go to the bins up here in Portland, these were everywhere, and people just don't know. So pick up the bigger sizes is what I would do. I would stay away from the smaller sizes. So let's go to Ab Technology Jeans 12 and I'll show you what we're talking about. So this is why also sourcing by size is very important. It can make a bad brand amazing if you just pick it up in the right size. So 518 listed on eBay and there's 220 sold. So much stronger sell-through rate in size 12. If you go to size 14, which is almost considered a plus size, you have 452 sold and 1,200 listed. So about the same as a 12, size 12. So just something to put on your radar. None of these brands are going to be like, wow, I've never heard of that. You might have heard of this brand. You just didn't know what the demand was behind it. And I would never charge $17, $15. $17.15 for shipping. Don't do that. That's exactly how not to sell on eBay. Charge insane shipping. And don't use calculated shipping for clothing. No one's going to buy the stuff. Just do a flat rate shipping price. $8.99. Good to go. Next brand is Zara wide leg jeans. I think this goes for most jeans in general, is you really just need to follow the style. Skinny jeans are kind of out of trend. Wide leg, baggy jeans, barrel leg are going to be way more in demand, especially when it comes to a not so amazing brand like Zara, but I'm just going to show you here as an example, Zara wide leg jeans. Let's see, we have 2,300 listed Zara wide leg jeans and almost 600 sold in the last 90 days, which is okay. A lot of them sell between $20 and $30, but you can see here, this is something you're going to find at the thrift store and the Goodwill bins that everyone's going to pass up. But it's the style that is what makes this sell well, not the brand. So just an example, and you can apply that to other brands as well that might not sell well, but the style is what's making it more in demand. So Zara is a good one. Same example as Anthropologie. Anthropologie has 6,000 sub-brands, so it's a very high-produced brand. But when you apply wide leg jeans to it, you have how many listed? 1,100 listed and 536 sold in the last 90 days. So I'm just using that as an example to not always just count the brand out, but also look at the style. Anthropologie skinny jeans, pass. Zara skinny jeans, pass. Never pick those up. But look at the style. If it's a wide leg, even a flare leg, boot cut, baggy, that is what's more in style. That's something that I would pick up. Another one is Wrangler, but women's jeans. This is the Q baby jeans, also known for those elastic waistbands. These have a pretty decent sell-through rate. We got how many? So we got 1,200 listed. And we have 427 sold, also selling between $20 and $30. The Wrangler Q Baby is just the women's version of like the 13 MWZ, usually low rise, and they got that stretchy waistband. Again, these are brands that I found early on in my days of reselling all the time at the Goodwill outlet. People just don't know. Q Baby, no gap waistband. So that's something I would buy for $1 to $5 and flip it for $20 to $30. Just depends on size and style. So remember, all these sell-through rates are still getting data from September and late August, as it's taking into account the last 90 days. So these should only continue to get better and better as we get into December and January and February. So maybe these brands you've heard of, but you didn't know what exactly within that brand sold well. That's why we make these videos. Comment down below if you have found any of these brands, or maybe what brands are on your radar that were surprising to you. I know I'm doing this research on a weekly basis, growing our eBay store, trying to get better as a reseller, figuring out what's selling, what's not selling. And that's why I make these videos, to help people like yourself get ahead of the game and turn this into a part-time or full-time business. Let me know what you think. Have a blessed day. Take care.